Welcome to the Directors UK podcast. We're the professional association for UK film and TV directors. No matter the format, no matter the genre, our featured directors share their approach to the craft. We hope you enjoy.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight we have Chloé Zhao and Joe Wright on Hamnet.
There we are. Hello. Give you all a moment.
Hi. It's nice to take things slowly. Oh yeah.
We're going to take things very slowly this evening, if that's all right.
Yeah. Change of the season, you know.
Yeah. So much to talk about. I watched it again this evening, and it's the second time I've seen it, and there is so much more to see on second viewing, and there were certain things that made sense to me that I hadn't realised in the first viewing. I guess we should maybe start at the beginning and ask. Actually, no, I'm not going to start at the beginning. So, what's the film about for you? I mean, do you start with a theme and then build it out from the theme, or do you start with the events and then discover the theme afterwards? I noticed this evening that suddenly you have all these kind of quite high angle wide shots, and then young Hamnet looks at the camera and spotted it.
Not a single person for 3 months of being on the road has mentioned that.
Huh. Well, I'm flattered.
Good Joe, good job.
Thank you, Chloe. And he looks at the camera and says he's watching us. And suddenly I replayed everything that had happened in the film, from the very first shot that comes down from the trees and sees her lying in a fetal position beneath the tree, to the shot, for instance, when they're saying goodbye to each other and they're kind of talking around the corner and it's all Death's point of view. And then you stop doing that for a while until he's standing on the edge about to considering suicide, right?
I knew I could count on you. This is exactly the intention, that you don't see it until then.
Yeah. So to me, the film is thematically about death. Was that what you set out to do? I
think I just love you. This is so great. Yeah.
We met 8 years ago at Telluride on a panel together, and Chloe was there with the rider, and it was very nice. We had a sunny afternoon together. It was good.
Lovely. And you wanted to know where I got my sandals.
Oh, did I? I don't remember your sandals. I remember meeting you. I remember your sandals. Fashion comes and goes.
Yeah. I think yes, death was on my mind a lot. You know, at midlife. And I started to feel, for about 4 years after Nomadland Eternals, I took 4 years off, and a lot of things happened. You know, when you're midlife, the foundation that you build up for the first half of your life start to get pulled apart. And then I have avoided death. I'm terrified of it, but I can tell my body starts to say, you should look at it now. You know, it's not yet, but it's coming. And that is a beautiful feeling as the season is changing. Like, you can't fight nature in that way. And then something else started to shift. I knew coming to Hamnet the whole language has to change from how camera moved back then, because it was a very much of like searching for life and pioneer, like chasing horizons, restless, insatiable. My first few films, 4 films, but this time I knew that it has to stay still. So I have nowhere else to go to run from myself, but to go inward. And that's why very timely I saw the zone of interest. And I thought, oh, it hit me really hard, and how the CCTV, we call it. And it is, if you think about it, you go on the internet, there is a desire for us to look from the CCTV camera or the dash cam or the body cam at the real life, because there's an indifference to it. This omnipresence that's watching us. You can call it death, you can call it nature, you can call it God. You know, life and death is on 2 sides of the coin, so it means love and grief. So I would say, desperately for me, it was about death, and it was about love, and it was about the metamorphosis, the transformation. One can turn into the other. So I'm not, getting to the second half of my life without some tools to deal with it.
And it's interesting, that dispassionate point of view, because it's a very emotional film. And yet there is a kind of dispassionate point of view happening, which reminded me of the Kaspar Hauser, the Werner Herzog Kaspar Hauser somehow. Also, you resisted, I imagine, ever shooting with backlight and romanticizing the kind of 3/4 backlight, and that it's quite kind of almost flatly lit or neutrally lit. Yes. A lot of it, like those kind of German movies of the 70s somehow. It's a kind of anti-lighting almost.
Well, I love when things are more graphic. And so is my Polish DP, and I'm Chinese. We wonder if it's the Soviet aesthetic. Like we like things straight on with no depth. so there's an ugliness about it. Like, how do you say, because I think I've had discussions about what looks good. Sometimes you want to bring it to the corner so you have some depth. But both for Lukas and I say, no, we want it to be straight on. And I think that gives this graphic feeling, and also it feels like a backdrop to a theater. So this idea of the world is a stage, and also how much, the challenge was how much can we contain the spectrum of human emotions and experiences within one backdrop. Yeah, and let it like brew within that.
And the framing's very center framing. The characters
exactly.
are right in the middle of frame. There's no sense of kind of, it's exciting because for so many years we felt that kind of Storaro and the 3/4 backlight was the only way to go almost. That's real cinema. And so it's really
not
exciting.
for the Polish.
Yeah, not for the Polish. Absolutely, not for the Soviets.
No.
So when you're approaching a film, do you approach a film from a personal point of view? Do you feel, and to approach a film from a personal point of view, does that mean going back into your history? Or is that about where you are right now?
I think right now. But inevitably, the scars are there, but it's about feeling what's the temperature of the scars now, right? And trying to look at it and not looking away from it. To your earlier question, I had a book, right? So I had a very internal, beautifully described internal landscape. And that in my earlier films, I have to spend a lot of time with people to get to know what their internal landscapes are and trying to find an external manifestation of that. But this time I had a blueprint. But for me, it's quite chaotic. Sometimes it could be one image comes in. Sometimes I discovered a hole in the forest on the ground. And there's something about that hole just says, this is what this film is about. And then it's a piece of music. And then it's a dream. And then they start to just build. They're like little messengers. I don't know if you felt that way.
And so the hole in the ground, was that, I haven't read the book, was that in the book, The Hole in the Ground?
No, that was, I consider nature a HOD for me. And it's been working pretty good with it for over a decade together. And and so it was really important for me and Lukasz, my DP, to go into the forest because we were both quite nervous about. We were both trained with Will Shakespeare's language, his creative language. We don't know Agnes's language very well, right? They both are storytellers. One is how our ancestors used to tell stories, and one is how we tell stories now. And there is a disconnection there. And we as artists are trying to always find, remember some of the older ways, the more kind of non-linear, one might say the more feminine and mysterious ways, right? And so Lukasz and I knew we had to go into the forest with the camera and with the boombox that play Max Richter's music. So we can just move the camera freely without any worry about what we think is going to look good. And without the actors as well. Trying to find this language and also this character, nature. And just happened before we took that trip last May, I was in Kyiv in Ukraine. And once I got to the forest, I was with somebody who was making a documentary about a strip of forest set in the front line in Ukraine. And so when Lukasz and I got to the forest in Wales, it was a beautiful spring, peaceful. We were walking around and I was getting the footage from the front line. And I see these black holes on the ground and they're from landmines and they're from dugouts. And I walk around my forest and I see these naturally made voids and holes. And I just had such a guttural reaction. I started sobbing because it's like there's a bittersweet feeling of that void coming out of us in the end. And it doesn't matter how unimaginable the world has become, there's something that connects us as humans. And it is we will die one day, and we will experience loss. But because our capacity to love and for empathy for each other is so immense, we also feel that deep loss. But that is because we love deeply, and so it's just, and it connects us in a way because we have empathy for each other. And I lost my shit. I started sobbing, and then of course Lukasz runs over. I'm Polish, I understand this, and he's like, we must film the hole. So he popped the camera down and we play the music and I'm sobbing over here and he is filming the hole. And then after a while, he started to lift the camera up to the sky. And then we started to see it go up and down, up and down, up and down the tree. And then I was like, oh yeah, all living things must die, passing through nature to eternity. And we knew that's how we're going to open the film, and because that's what the film is about. Yeah.
And also, so you start with that shot coming down from the trees, the sky, and then to the hole, and then with her curled in that position there, and then we have the moment with her and the bird. And then we come to him, and he's looking at the same trees, but through a sheet of glass, and so he's disconnected from those trees. Are you kind of figuring that out in the design of the movie, or are you figuring that out in the edit, or at what point, or is it kind of like, are you retro fitting the ideas, or?
I need to take you with me on the press tour because
Sure, I'm free.
Because sometimes I don't think about those things. But then now you mention it, it's true that it was very intentional to frame him always against a cage. And Paul as an actor, I remember, people say, why you choose Paul? And other than him being a brilliant actor and a dedicated and just great person, there isn't. I call him Steppenwolf. There is, Herman Hesse's Steppenwolf has a huge influence on me, and because there is an animal inside of him. You can feel it when you're near him. It's vibrating and it's just like gnarling at him. And if his compulsion to create doesn't have a place for it, it will consume him. And that's what I think of Shakespeare. I understand that part. I'm sure you do too. And so to frame that energy within these confines and to keep him away from being connected to the source, hopefully suggests that without her, in a way, which is his guide to his own inner forest, his own inner animal, then he might end up like his father. Yeah, it was very intentional too. And so that when they do meet, you feel like it's two opposing forces coming together, needing each other. And for her, in a way, she needed some containers. Right? Otherwise, she's just going to spin out.
He's her animus to...
Animus anima, we're students of Carl Jung. Clearly.
And so there's lots of shots where you're, or moments, sequences where you're not showing us stuff, I suppose. So, for instance, this first scene where they meet, and the camera stays on him in the doorway, and doesn't reveal her until he walks to the hawk.
Careful.
Was that... Did you shoot a reverse on her?
No.
Go on.
No, nothing.
Why not?
So, I don't know how vulnerable I want to be here. But you are directors, sometimes when you get into the edit, you go, this is genius. Absolutely, I made the right decision on set. Other times you go, maybe didn't hurt to get a reverse. You picked out the one time that I questioned myself in the edit. But when I was on set, I sort of ran out of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also intellectualized it on set out of survival that this is a masterpiece. Must be kept this way.
I like it, actually. I think you were right.
I was hoping people like you
right.
exist.
I think you were right.
Okay, great. But then, the sound design and everything really helped.
It works.
I definitely brought in Johnny Byrne. I was like, Johnny, I feel this, like the hawk, making noises. It was. I questioned myself there.
And then the one where she's walking, when she's in labor and she's walking to the tree, and the camera's with her and she stops and the camera keeps moving.
Totally intentional.
Of course,
Loved
intentional.
It.
Yeah, love that. Love it. What was your thinking behind that?
We talked earlier on, Lukasz, that the camera is, that's the omnipresence, and it has an energy on its own. And then, one can say, but when? When do you choose to move off? When do you choose to keep it going? And sometimes it can only be decided when you're right there. And I do think that our bodies as directors are a huge part of where that decision comes from. It's not intellectual. I think intellectually it's great to set intentions that we say this is the meaning of this, and the camera is going to represent this omnipresence, and talk a lot about it. And then on the day, it's like, how is my body feeling? And how's my operator feeling? And then you just watch it, and then the weather, where Jesse is, the music that's blasting in the background. And it takes you, something more than my mind is making that decision. And it just felt like we need to move off. And magically, every time I'm feeling that and I feel crazy, Lukasz goes, I think we should. I'm like, yes, So I think we both are very much in the bodies. And I'm learning on this film more than before how important it is to like also drop into my own body as much as the actors do. And because my body is going to be your bodies because I'm where the camera is. So
I find that there's a little voice in the back of your head that's telling you what to do, and you have to be really. You have to listen to it, and it's often difficult to listen to it, given the amount of noise and questions and demands on set.
Yeah.
But you have to take yourself back into that little voice and hear it, because it's usually right. It's the same voice that's our conscience, and it's the same voice that's our. And I liken it to that. But I like the idea of being your body. I hadn't
well,
seen it as that.
you can't really explain it to people, right? And then you just have to have a village that trusts you in those moments. Yeah. Also, Lucas likes when we miss people.
Yeah.
You know that shot when Agnes is helping Judith is ill, and then you have this shot panning over the room, and we choreographed it. But if the camera gets everybody perfectly, Lucas would go, no, no, this is terrible, no. So we would delay them just a little bit. Well, there was one time we missed everyone. He's like, that's interesting. Maybe too interesting. Let's find a middle ground. But he's right. When you're framing, just cut off a little bit, because it is also about what is just on the edge of the frame. It's just like right there. So it makes you lean in a little bit.
I always think of that like De Chirico paintings. There's always like a train just over the other side of the wall, or there's always something beyond our view.
Yeah, exactly.
The shot where the boy Hamnet discovers his sister in bed, and then the camera pans off away from it, reminded me of Scorsese's Taxi Driver, when he's on the telephone and the camera pans off and looks down the hallway. And Scorsese's talked about that shot as being kind of about it's too painful to watch and it's too intimate to watch.
Oh, interesting.
Did you feel making the film that an audience would kind of know what it's about, and therefore you were playing with the expectations of an audience? In other words, that shot you're talking about that starts on the lamp being lit and then goes across the room and misses certain people and doesn't miss everybody, and then ends on the back of Hamnet's head in focus. There's a kind of a dread to landing on him there. And as an audience member, knowing, the first time I saw it, knowing that it was about his death, it carried a weight to it that wouldn't have been there had I not known what it was about.
I think you're right, because I do come to work every day thinking about how do I create tension. And it is, my films aren't exactly, tension, like I don't take offense if people fall asleep. If they can rest, is fine. But so it's not known for that. And I have to say, working on Eternals taught me the importance of tension within a scene. And I had watched, in my 4 years off, I've been watching some like old westerns, like Red River. You rewatch that, and then two people in a tent. The tension between them, it's never two people in a tent. And I think coming from more of an indie world and working with non-actors, I wasn't relying on that, because you can't. They're not going to deliver the scenes. So I learned, and again, becoming a student of Jung, I learned a lot about energies and polarities and how important it is to have polarity in the scene. So especially if you have a story where you can't even, what do you call it? If you have, if you find out the ending, spoiler. You can't spoil this film. It's in the log line, right? So how do you create? And the story is pretty straightforward. And how do you create tension within the scene to keep the audience interested and engaged? So every day we come and we try to go, well, in that case, we knew you're gonna see a very kind of in your face. Definitely never too painful for me to show things, but you're gonna see that is coming with Hamnet's death. So if I do that with Judith, with her trying to cure Judith the same way, it's gonna be too much for the audience. It's gonna numb them out. I just didn't feel like that was the right time.
Also, that shot panning off him coming to the bed is panning to the desk and is about Shakespeare's absence as well.
Yes. Well, we repeated it. I actually really believe in repetition. Like I think repeating. Like I when I write scripts, I don't draw a line. If I were to do the plot, I draw a spiral. And I think it's really, and I come from Wong Kar-wai and Terrence Malick's filmmaking, because on Wong Kar-wai's films, a certain piece of music will play multiple times. And by the fourth time, saying Happy Together or Chungking Express, it just hits you in ways that it's never possible if it wasn't planted as in different part of the spiral. And so I think we see the twins' bed at that tableau, at in that attic, and the camera is doing the same thing when we first meet them. And so we're just repeating that, and it gives you a little bit something.
And there's lots of lines that are repeated throughout as well, that have more of a profound effect the second or the third time you hear them, obviously, like the look at me at the end and so on. So the scene where he's drunk, and it just holds on the shot of their bedroom, and he's in the foreground, and it's all played in one. Was that? How many pages was that scene? It was probably like about 3-page scene.
Well, it wasn't cutting, so that's exactly that, and maybe a little improvisation that happened.
How much improv is there in the movie?
Not so much within scenes because the language, only little bits. But sometimes a scene will be improvised, like the scene of the funeral of the hawk was improvised. Jesse had a dream. It was day 3, and I knew it excites me, And I go in the script. It says hawk funeral because if you're not in the forest, if you don't have the kids there, and if you don't have a fake dead hawk, it's hard to. I want to leave some space. There are areas that are tightly controlled. But there are areas like that is safe. It could be anything. And Jesse come to me in the morning and said, I worked with my dreams, and this is the gesture, like blowing a little wish. And I said, well, let's just improvise that. And then that informed me to write later on a very crucial moment in the limbo, because when he's most scared, he must think about when was the last time his mother taught him about death, and that's the moment. So those moments are improvised.
So she came to you on the morning that you were shooting the forest the funeral.
The hawk funeral.
And did you have much rehearsals with the actors prior to shooting?
No. Do you rehearse?
I like rehearsals.
I think I know that.
I really like rehearsals.
I need to go to one of your rehearsals and watch how you do it.
It's a lot of lunch together. It's a lot of getting to know each other. Really.
Right. Okay, but I do that. Yeah. But you don't rehearse the scenes heavily, do you?
I use things like, it's really useful when a film has dance in it, because I use the dance as a kind of rehearsal of a way of finding character through dance. But I don't kind of, talk about objectives or actions or any of that stuff. Although, sometimes I think I should really, maybe, I don't know.
Well, sometimes they want to, and it helps them to go through it. But the dance, I'm all about dancing, and that's the body part. To get them out of their heads. And also just see like physically what energy they feel comfortable embodying. Where does their energy? When do their energy start to they freeze because they might think this is inappropriate? I don't think I should do that. And for me is to I did some somatic workshops with them, just to get them to push their extremes, so their body remembers within this consent and safe container how far they can go.
Yeah. I just had a flash of the shot of them having sex for the first time and realised it was Death's point of view.
There's sometimes,
Yeah,
like,
okay.
take a break.
So with Jesse and Paul, you didn't rehearse with them, but you spoke to them a lot prior to shooting. Was the casting process difficult? Did you know you wanted them? What was the process there?
I met Paul when I wasn't sure about the film at all. I met him. I didn't know who he was because After Sun hasn't come out yet. And but I just felt like there was again that animal, And in our first conversation, I had just heard about Hamnet. I said, "Would you play a young Shakespeare?" And he goes, "My God, you gotta read the book. It's incredible." And so I read the book. Once I read the book, I only saw Jessie. It was very tunnel vision. I don't know why. I saw her in The Lost Daughter.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her in earlier films yet. But I had just seen Lost Daughter recently, around that time, and it was so clear it was her. And then I chemistry tested them, just in case.
Yeah.
And then the chemistry was great. And then the hard part was finding the kids, especially Hamnet.
Yeah.
That was we looked and looked and looked. Yeah.
He's extraordinary. He's wonderful. And a chemistry test, I always think, is about mutual respect. What do you think a chemistry test is?
Well, we always have mutual respect.
No, but I just find it just about two actors wanting to be the best they can be for each other.
For sure. Okay, I see.
That's what I mean.
That's really important because what you don't want to do is to find any sense of like somebody who wants to, it's about themselves.
Yeah.
That happens, or like try to prove or get their role, And then I'm very sensitive to that. I'm sure you are as well, because you want two people who are so generous with each other and can hold each other. I also wanted to make sure that they both feel, back to that polarity stuff, they both would feel comfortable to stretch past what 2025's standard of how they should behave. Because we're going back in time. And this is also a very physical film. Yeah. And I needed to know that they feel comfortable going there with each other.
Yeah. She's incredible in the film. She's really incredible. She's totally transparent. It feels like I don't need her to say anything for her to be telling me the story of what's happening with that character.
I think the tunnel vision come from I think vanity is the number one killer of authenticity. And for this character, if an audience member sense that she's wearing a mask in any moment that she's thinking about how she looks in front of a camera, then we lose the audience because the kind of character she is. She's supposed to be someone with no shame to how she want to express herself and what she looks like. So you need an actress. I needed an actress who is held by something very strong, that she feels safe enough to be vulnerable. Ironically, to tenderize herself. Yeah.
Do you think vanity is a killer for directors too?
Depends. Is it about vanity? I mean, can we have vanity? Look at us on set. Have you seen the director's photos?
No, I guess I mean caring too much what other people think of us.
Oh.
That as the definition of vanity.
Well, here's I think it's almost impossible not to. I look at us. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I know that me and my peers, most my friends as directors, we didn't have the easiest way of bringing, and also like we're able to communicate maybe the easiest, so that storytelling and the imaginary world become a very safe place to be. And I think I used to be really tough on myself and going, can't I just like be healed and not worry about validations and not worry about shame and not worry about all these things, and then realize in my 40s it's never going to stop. But the acceptance of that and just to work with that and go like, I see you, this is happening and it's okay. And I'm working on that.
I think I'm getting the gesture, which means we got to wrap it up. Thank you, Chloe, for taking the time to be here and talking to us. And thank you for your film and all your films. And don't take 4 years off next time.
Well, I want to say thank you for seeing the film truly in a way that it hasn't been seen and talked about for, so it's
beautiful.
Love being around my directing, colleagues, because you see the layers of the hard work that's been put in. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
This podcast was recorded at a Directors UK member event. You can hear plenty more directors in conversation by subscribing on the usual streaming platforms. Follow us on social media and find out more about us at directors.uk.com.